Greetings, fellow gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru, and today I'm going to talk about a little movie called Come to Daddy, which stars Elijah Wood and Stephen McHattie, who some of you might know as the guy who was the disc jockey in Pontypool. You know, the dude with like the really deep, awesome voice in that movie? Yeah, that's Stephen McHattie. And just in case you don't already know, Elijah Wood is not only a pretty prominent indie producer right now, especially in the horror scene, he is also famous for having been Frodo in Lord of the Rings. So if you didn't know that, now you do. Yeah, that piece of knowledge just goes out to the 10 of you out there who didn't know that. And on top of that, Come to Daddy also happens to be the feature film debut of director Ant Timpson, and if I mispronounced his name, I sincerely apologize. Feel free to correct me below. But anyway, Ant Timpson is pretty famous for having produced a multitude of films within the horror scene. Films like Housebound, Deathgasm, ABCs of Death, and even Turbo Kid. And if you've seen any of those films, you might think you have an idea of what to expect going into this movie, but trust me when I say, you have no idea what you're getting into when you watch this film. Because when I sat down to watch this movie and saw the initial premise of, well, we have this guy who is coming to visit his father, and the movie's called Come to Daddy, and it's being described as a thriller or horror movie and a comedy, and it's directed by Ant Timpson, I kind of expected a really over-the-top horror comedy with a lot of hilarity and, you know, like the dad trying to like kill the son or something like that, or maybe something because Elijah Wood was involved, something a little bit more like what was that movie called? The Greasy Strangler, something like that, which was also a movie about a father and his son and weird shit going on. But this movie's actually a lot more grounded than any of those movies. It's extremely grounded, actually, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have a sense of humor that reminds you of those movies. There's a lot of dark juvenile humor throughout this entire film, but it's built upon one of the most interesting scripts I've seen in a film in a while. And the worst part about it is I can't talk too much about that stuff without spoiling huge chunks of this movie. And believe me, there is shit that could be spoiled for you in this movie. You will have no idea where this movie is going when you start it. You think you do. You think you do. But about halfway through, it becomes something completely different. And then towards the last act, it evolves into something even more different. And the best part is, even after you've seen the movie once and you've experienced it the first time, when you sit down to rewatch it a second time, which I have done, you will find that the movie has a whole new layer to it now that you know everything that's going to happen and what's going on. It's the same plot, you have the same characters, you have the same scenario played out the second time around, but now when you watch it the second time, you're going to be sitting there going like, oh shit, now I understand. Oh my God, now I get it. Oh God, the reason why this character said that is because, oh, it all makes sense now. If you can't tell already, this movie's really hard to talk about without giving away too much, so I'm kind of talking around the movie to give you an idea of what it feels like, and hopefully you're getting an idea. But even then, I want to remind you, whatever you think in your head, the movie is still gonna surprise you. So trust me when I say this movie is totally worth a watch. It is funny, it is shocking, it is surprising, it is one hell of a thrill ride in terms of thrillers, and more than that, Elijah Wood carries this movie pretty damn well. There's a lot this movie has to say about masculinity. There's a lot this movie has to say about, like, the masks we wear to impress people around us. This movie, despite, you know, being a pretty absurd movie with a lot of ridiculous shit that happens and some hilarity throughout, actually is pretty, like, you know, it has something to say. It's an intelligent thriller with a really dark sense of humor and some gnarly bits throughout. In terms of tone, the movie reminded me a lot of the movie Bad Times at El Royale. And when I say that, I'm not talking about the plot, I'm not talking about like the characters, I'm not talking about anything else other than the sense of humor and the tone of the movie. Again, I can't stress enough how hard it is to talk about this movie without spoiling anything. This movie is thrilling, this movie is funny, it's got great performances, and on top of all that, you'll have no idea where the fuck it's going. Anyway, my fellow gorehounds, if you want to check out Come to Daddy for yourself, I'll include an Amazon affiliate link in the description below, and if you click that link and buy or rent the movie with that link, then I will get a kickback from it. And with that all said, let us move on to the spoilers so I can stop talking around the damn movie. All right, so since I sometimes still get people complaining in the comment section about this, I'm gonna spoil the movie in a second. We are in the spoiler section, so if you are interested in the movie and you haven't watched it yet, then go watch the movie, then come back here and finish the vlog, so you won't get mad at me. All right? All right, so where to begin with this movie? So you have this initial premise of this movie where you have this guy who's visiting his father for the first time in his life. He's never actually seen his father. He's only heard about his father through his mom, and he's finally got a chance to come visit him because his father sent him a letter. And in the letter, he's just basically like, oh, I've never gotten to see my son. I want to see you, and yada, yada, yada. So when you're sitting there watching the movie and you're like me, you're sitting there going like, okay, so obviously this is going to turn south or something. Like there's going to be some sort of back and forth between the father and the son. Maybe the father is secretly someone awful. Who knows? Something bad is going to happen. And these two are going to be at odds for the rest of the movie. And this is where the movie fucks with you for the first time, because after introducing himself to his father and then getting into an argument with his father and having the father and him have like these pissing contests, like he pretends to be like popular with famous people, and then his father calls his bluff on that, and then the two of them get into arguments, and it's obvious his father is an alcoholic drunk, and he himself used to have an alcoholic problem. He is now like in Alcoholics Anonymous or something like that, and he's doing like a 12-step program, so he's trying to stay away from alcohol, but his father's trying to tempt him with alcohol, and eventually this whole confrontation, and mind you, this is in like the first like 30 minutes of the movie, this leads into a fight between him and his father, in which his father has a heart attack. And this is before his father tried to kill him with a fucking knife. So it looks like it's going to become the movie you expect it to be, but then it doesn't. The father dies. He has a heart attack and just fucking croaks. Now, I'm not going to give you a play-by-play of the rest of the movie because I've done that before in these vlogs, and to be honest, it's kind of pointless, and I kind of wish I didn't. I kind of wish I just stuck to reviewing the movies, so I'm not going to do that here. But what I will say is that from that point on, this movie becomes this whole slew of twists and turns. Like, there's a point in which it turns out the dead father is not actually his father. And it turns out there are people who want to steal shit from the house that he's in that was his father's. And there's a point in which he has to, like, go try to kill a guy and be a man for the first time in his life, because he is kind of pathetic. Like, he's kind of coded in this movie as that kind of like pretentious urban hipster who is white and likes to pretend that he is more than he is, that he's more popular, that he's with the cool kids, but he's actually a loser that lives in his basement with his mom. And so over the course of the movie, he kind of has to learn to be a man and to be the person that he always kind of saw his father as. But in order to do that, he has to like kill people and like cause blood and mayhem and violence. And God, there's a point in this movie in which he fucking stumbles across a fucking like orgy that's happening because there's some sort of sex conference happening in this one hotel, and you're like, oh shit, like he goes to a hotel. Yeah. This movie doesn't stay in the isolated location that you think it's going to stay in. It keeps going. And I'm not sure if I want to spoil some of the big twists in this movie, because I think if you're still watching at this point and you haven't watched the movie, you're probably now more interested than you were before. So I'm going to probably hold off on those spoilers, but needless to say, like, holy shit, I'm sitting there watching this movie, and at any point there was a twist. I was just like, oh shit, now I have no idea what's going to happen next. And then maybe I'll start to like guess, like, okay, this is probably what's going to happen now that this has happened. And holy shit, something else happens. I'm like, whoa, I have no clue. I have no fucking clue. And the thing is, it's all organic. It's not like the scriptwriter trying to force these twists and turns into place where they don't belong, which is like a criticism I've seen some people give of movies that are like super like surprising like this. This movie's not like that. This movie's super organic, and you can tell how organic it is because when you sit down and rewatch the movie a second time, knowing things like, oh, the dead guy isn't actually his father, all of a sudden their interactions makes way more sense. All of a sudden now you get like, oh, that this guy is asking him that question because he's trying to read him as much as he's trying to read his father. The two of them are having a pissing contest, but neither of them are fully aware of the context of their own contest, of why they're having this pissing contest. It's not a father and son pissing contest. It's a, okay, this guy thinks I'm his father. I'm going to play this role because we want to rob some shit. And this guy going like, this is my father. I want to figure out why he abandoned my mother and why all this, why all that, and why daddy didn't love me. But these two are clashing in a way that's like reinforcing his fucking issues and making it really hard for this guy to actually figure out what's going on or do what he wants to do. But again, this is only the first 30 minutes and the movie has way more twists and turns beyond that. So strap in. And there I go, rambling again in a nonsensical manner. I should really wrap up this vlog before it just becomes like total chaos. Anyway, to wrap this all up, this movie's got some really great performances. It's got like some surprising twists and turns. It's thrilling as all fuck. And on top of that, it's fucking gnarly. And it's hilarious. So, what more can you ask for? With that all said, my fellow gorehounds, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to ring that notification bell so that you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And if you want to help out my channel more directly, be sure to check out my Patreon page. And remember, if you decide to go the Patreon route, even $1 a month can go a long way. And if any of you out there have already seen Come to Daddy, then be sure to leave a comment below with the hashtag spoilers and let me know what your experience was like watching this movie, what you thought was going to happen and what your reaction was when you saw what really happened and how you felt by the end of it. Give me your whole story. Lay it all out for me. I want to know. Inject your experiences right into my veins. Yeah, that's what I like. Holy shit, I better stop this vlog before it devolves any further. So with all that said, my fellow gorehounds, peace out, and I'll catch y'all later. And goddamn, it's such a good movie.